ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
It's Thursday, September 18th, when this video fishing forecast for the New Jersey, Delaware Bay region is released for public consumption. But truth be told, I recorded this video on Wednesday after spending much of Wednesday morning digesting what we New Jersey anglers had consumed the night prior, Tuesday, September 16th, and then sifting through some wonderfully uplifting social media messages. I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine, and more on our weekly production schedule a little later. And of course, we're in the final days of New Jersey's summer flounder season. Fluke ends next week. September 25th. And before I share with you what's got to be the largest fluke caught in the entire 2025 season here in New Jersey, before I share that, let's go on to have a brief discussion on Tuesday's striped bass meeting in Manahawkin. Now, I posted this to my personal Facebook page, if we're friends, you know, on Tuesday night saying, quote, roughly 100 people at the Stafford Township Firehouse for tonight's public hearing on striped bass, which is pretty dismal if you ask me. I guess folks already have the info needed to weigh in with the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission by the October 3rd deadline, or, and I hope this isn't the case, most anglers simply don't care. Now, some folks respectfully responded to my post saying the decision has already been made, meetings are just a formality, our input doesn't matter. Others said it's tough to get to these meetings given family and work commitments, which is true. Family comes first, and it's very difficult for weekdays, weeknights to get to these meetings. Still, one friend of mine on Facebook apparently came up with his own analysis of my post, adding a message of love and inspiration. I never used the word slacker there, Skipper, but that is the best part about social media, I guess, is that folks can post whatever they want, true or not, and say things about others from the safe confines of the area behind their keyboard. Let me tell you something. My unfriend finger has been keeping busy in the last week or so. So a lot of folks can't make the weekend or the weeknight meetings. I get that. Town council, planning board, fishing club, fisheries meetings, that's understandable. But you do have a webinar opportunity coming up to ask your questions and have Emily Frankie from the ASMFC explain in pretty clear and concise detail the methodology by which ASMFC and the ASMFC's Striped Bass Management Board, often referred to as simply the board, 15 votes on that board, will make up its mind in late October on whether or not to implement a 12% reduction on striped bass in 2026. You can get details on the striped bass meetings, when they're held and when that webinar meeting is later in September. It's all posted there at thefisherman.com. Look for the article title, ASMFC Schedules Striped Bass Hearing Starting September 8th. So again, the general public webinar, for those who can't get to the physical location, that's going to be on September 29th. So again, if you can't make those in-person hearings, log on to asmfc.org, get all the details. Thursday, September 18th, from 6 to 8 p.m., Delaware striper fishermen will be given the public hearing presentation at the Little Creek Hunter Education Training Center at 3018 Bayside Drive in Dover, Delaware. For details, you can call John Clark at 302-739-9108. Then next Wednesday, September 24th from 7 to 8:30 p.m., Pennsylvania anglers get a chance to weigh in with their ASMFC reps at the Silver Lake Nature Center. That's at 1306 Bath Road in Bristol, PA. Contact Tyler Grabowski if you want some information, 610-847-2442. Now, Pennsylvania's vote at the commission, the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, comes down to Dr. Tim Schaefer or his proxy, Chris Kuhn, the governor's appointee, Lauren Lustig, and Assemblywoman Anita Astorino-Kulik of Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh. Now, I did hear from a lot of charter captains from New Jersey at the Tuesday night meeting saying their Pennsy customers have stopped booking trips due to the ever-tightening regulations from striped bass that slot over the last several years. So if you're a person from the Keystone State and you love fishing for striped bass, I sure hope to see you in Bristol, PA next Wednesday, September 24th. Yeah, I do plan on being there. I want to figure this out. My thanks, by the way, to ASMFC's Emily Frankie for her calm, cool, and respectful demeanor, answering every possible question she could as the messenger on tour for these ASMFC hearings. God bless you, Emily. So, brief as it was, let's jump into the jumbo fluke. I mentioned that before. It's the biggest one that I saw reported and have photo corroboration of this for the entire season. It was caught over the weekend by Patrick Sheehy out of Raritan Marina, fishing with his father Bill at the Shrewsbury Rocks. 32.5 inches in length, this Flukosaurus weighed in at 13 pounds, 2 ounces at Upfront Bait and Tackle in Keyport. Thanks, Dan Rennie from Raritan Marina, for sending this photo. Boy, I don't know if this guy's a Fisherman subscriber. We'll get a Dreamboat update in a few minutes, I'm sure. Now, in our weekly reports at thefisherman.com, we also got word of another doormat, this one from Fisherman's Den in Belmar, a 10-pounder, reported from along the rocks at Shark River Inlet. Now, according to our North Jersey field editor, J.B. Casper, that 10.4-pound jetty monster was the biggest fluke weighed in this season at Fisherman's Den in Belmar. However, the angler wished to remain anonymous and thus no photos were taken. Could be a sick day, yes. The crew at Fisherman's Den said bluefish also popped in and out of the inlet during the week, last week. Now, speaking of which, Jim Steve emailed this photo to me over the weekend, a gator he caught on board the Golden Eagle out of Belmar. And hopefully more of these bluefish, especially the sizable bluefish, will begin flowing down the Jersey Shore beaches in September. Sure might be nice to have one of those classic bluefish and bass runs like we used to see in the fall so many years ago. But again, on that fluke front, final days right now here in New Jersey. As of Friday the 19th, you would only have 7 days left in the Garden State, as the 2025 summer flounder season will come to a close on Thursday, September 25th. Any way you look at it, 7 days from now, 7 days tomorrow, it's 1 week, next Thursday, final day, September 25th. So I was telling my buddy this past weekend, I said, I think I'm done fluking at this point, just gonna focus on tog and stripers in the back bay. So late Friday afternoon, I picked up a couple of dozen green crabs from Frank at Gabriel Tackle in Brick. Got my one keeper. I had like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 throwbacks. And then right at the end, I had my 16.5-inch keeper. I was like, all right, we got dinner. And then I went with a 4-inch white power bait saltwater cull shad. It's something I've had in my tackle box. These things are great. But I was looking for a striper along the sod banks, let that jig head hit the bottom, and lo and behold, I had an 18-inch fluke in the back. So yeah, there's still a few fluke out back. If you can't get out front this weekend, certainly along the inlets, closer to the inlet is where you're going to find some of these fluke moving into the back to feed on that bait, that young of the year bait that's now starting to flow out of our estuaries. Hopefully you find that your own canals and sod banks and creeks are loaded with bait, because I think that's really going to be indicative of a really good fall run. Anyway, on this week's Open Boat, Jenny's rolling out the red carpet. Well, I guess actually she's rolling out the red doormat. She's kicking off the Winner's Circle for 2025, the Super Fluker Challenge, showcasing anglers who bucktailed up their fluke in 2025. Let's go see Jenny to see who made the cut.
Welcome to the Winner's Circle. It's your host, me, Jenny Ackerman, and on this week's Open Boat, we're kicking off the Super Flukers Challenge Winner's Circle. I got my laptop with me. Thank you everyone who submitted all of your entries. I love getting emails from you guys with your fish submissions. We did one back in the fall, probably gonna do it again, and the same thing with the Super Fluker Challenge. Now, it's September, so of course you do still have some time to catch some fluke based off of your region. You know, keep in mind the opening and closing dates of every season of species you're targeting, so you're not, gonna get yourself in trouble. But the New Jersey region, like where I'm in right now, we're seeing the start of our mullet run season. So if you're fishing the beaches, you'll see little schools of mullet running by, lots of bluefish giving chase, and of course, fluke love mullet too. So now's the time, go to the beach after work, and you can literally throw anything from like an SP minnow. I had a kid catch a 25-inch fluke yesterday on an Ava jig. So anything that imitates that long profile of a mullet, or you could just go to your local tackle shop that has fresh caught mullet and try throwing it out there to see what you can get, because you still have a chance to catch a really big fluke to close out your 2025 fluke season. And I also really appreciate just studying the patterns of how this fluke season has been based off of, how it's been in the previous years. So just seeing the differences and similarities, like every angler should take note on to kind of mentally prepare themselves for the 2026 fluke season. But realistically, it's like, we have your patterns, but you never know what's gonna happen, like what to expect. And I know a lot of anglers who submitted like some of the biggest catches, they caught them in places they would have never expected to have caught big fish. So life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. So let's get into the first part of the winner's circle. If you guys recall, I asked for the first part for you guys to submit pictures of fluke that you caught on a bucktail. And kicking it off, we have Ralph Albino. And of course, wait, before I start anything, I apologize if I butcher your name. So we have Ralph Albino with a nice fluke that he caught on a bucktail. And then next up, we have Justin Elliott sporting a Yankees hat. I know this is gonna cause a great debate in the comments, but go Yankees. So he's got a nice fluke right there. Moving on, we have Pete Egbert, and Pete had something to say with his. He said that he caught his 16-inch flounder in his backyard of Long Beach, New York. So we can't beat fishing your own backyard for some nice flukes. And then we have Bob Vendetti with his bucktail fluke. Moving on, we have Carl Ward, and Carl has his bucktail that he tied himself, and he has a nice fluke netted in, looks like a pink and white bucktail. So it's also really rewarding going through like making your own bucktails, making your own lures, building your own rods, the whole 9 yards. Making something that you're catching fish on is like really, really rewarding too. So congratulations, Carl. And then we have multiple submissions from Dennis Portalatin. So he's got multiple fish on the bucktail jig here, showcasing 1, 2, 3, 4 flukes caught on the bucktail. And then we have Timothy Vess with his bucktail fluke. And he said that it was 3.5 pounds at 20 inches at the north side of the bay of West Long Beach. And then we have a bonus fish here from James Bier. He was fluking and he caught a striped bass on his fluke rig. So you're gonna see some wild card fish submissions here for the winner's circle of the Super Fluker Challenge, which I love to see. And next up, we have Joshua McCloskey with his bucktail fluke, and he was fishing on the Atom Bomb out of Cape May. And next up, we have Nick Rambo's crew posing with their catches of the day. Looks like some nice fluke sandwiches for dinner with all these guys, so all nice bucktail flukes. And then we have Pedro of Kepti Fishing with 2 flukes caught on the bucktail and some decent sized ones too. So that wraps up the first part of the winner's circle. And keep in mind, like I said before, guys, you still have time to be fluking. We still have time before the stripers show up. Right now, you do have other species to target too, based off of your region. You have albies, you have Spanish mackerel, you have bluefish, you have Freshwater species, don't forget about your freshwater species, your lakes, your ponds, your creeks, your streams, all of the above. Any body of water that's not a puddle, you can find fish in. So don't be sitting around, waiting for a species when you can go out and target more. So go out there, get down to some more fish, enjoy the good weather. Next week kicks off the first week of fall. So bring on the fall and let's see what comes next. And I will catch you guys on next week's Open Boat. We're continuing off with the winter circle, so let's go.
Here's the latest for the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge. First up is New England subscriber Richard Turcott from Coventry, Connecticut, with his second entry in the contest with a 6.40-pound weak fish weighed in at AW Marina, putting Rich in third place in the weak fish category. Next up is Dean Poella, New Jersey subscriber from Springfield, New Jersey, with a 3-pound porgy weighed in at the tackle box. This entry places Dean second in the porgy group. Adding to his entries and placing fifth in the porgy category goes to Thomas Luciano, Long Island subscriber from West Sayville, New York, weighing in his 2.43-pound porgy at J&J Tackle. Our final entry is from Long Island subscriber Joseph Lacusi from Ridge, New York, taking fourth with his fluke at 10.4 pounds, weighed in at Montauk Marine Basin. With the latest entries, this shook up the leaderboard. The new standings are Thomas Luciano taking first with 22 points. Rashawn William dropped to second with 15 points. Jeffrey Harrison is holding on to third with 13 points. Are you the best angler in the Northeast? Well, now is your chance to prove it. The Fisherman's Dreamboat contest is back. Win this Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha along with these other great prizes. Fish hard and weigh in as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. What's the catch? You must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. All it takes is one fish on the board to win a great prize, so however you fish, you have a shot. For all the details and official rules, visit thefisherman.com.
We had 3 fish enter the Coastal Kayak Clash this week. The first one was a 23-inch weak fish landed by Gregory Vergare, which now holds third place in the weak fish category. The other 2 were hardtails, both of them false albacore. Tom Hood had a 25-incher, which holds third place in the hardtail category. Bruce Lofgren had a 25-1/4-incher, which holds second place. Our top 3 still looks about the same, although Dustin Stevens lost 1 point thanks to Gregory Vergare's weak fish. So Dustin has 8 points, holding first place. Rothenong is in second place with 6 points. Eddie Roman is in third place, also with 6 points. It was that tiebreaker striped bass that keeps Rotha in second place.
Hey kayakers, the Fisherman's Coastal Kayak Clash contest is back. Win this fully outfitted Hobie Mirage Lynx kayak from Yak Attack along with other great prizes. Catch and release as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. To enter, you must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, fish from a kayak, and document your catch. Many chances to win great prizes, so get out there on the water now and fish hard. To be part of the action, you must be a subscriber and register at thefisherman.com.
It's the best time to buy a boat. The Jersey Shore Boat Sale and Expo. Save big, fish big. Inland, offshore, center consoles, and more. September 26th through 28th. Shoretown Ballpark. JerseyBoatExpo.com.
Life is better with a boat.
In his weekly surf report at thefisherman.com, it's called Beach Talk, Nick Honachewski said cooling nights are starting to push the mullet around in the back, though they've yet to really push out into the front surf line as of this report. Fluker anchoring the bite out front with a mix of small blues, kingfish, and spot chomping around. Now, stripers are beginning to hit soft baits at night now, especially in the back now that the mullet are out there in force. A lot of spearing in the back. Certainly the guys that are fishing in back under cover of dark and not saying much are catching a few stripers in the back. But now you want to keep your eyes open along the front beaches for little tunny and bonita schools running through. You never know if redfish, that's what Nick said, you never know if redfish are going to show up when the mullets start to run. That's we've heard of redfish being caught in the Point Pleasant Canal in years past, certainly down through South Jersey, and of course the speckled trout should start to run at some point for those tight-lipped trout fishermen down in Cape May County. I'm hoping to get myself up to Sandy Hook at some point very soon, though, running along Albee Alley to see if some of those speedsters, those false albacore, are in. Now, you can also look for mahi in the days ahead along the high flyers and floating debris. You don't have to go that far. Here's a good shot of Captain Eric Kerber of On a Mission. But perhaps even try some of the offshore reef sites, the ones outside of 3 miles, also the ridges, Barnegat to Sea Isle, and all the lumps in between, maybe some bonita along with the albies, and who knows, maybe a mahi or two as well. Interesting report this week from Dennis Huber, a buddy of mine. He texted me that he and his son, Tommy, have been doing a lot of diving recently, and they saw a ton of cobia. I think they were diving on Tuesday, a ton of cobia in 80 feet of water. No, actually, this was Saturday. It was Saturday, 80 feet of water outside of Brigantine. Dennis said they went to 3 different wrecks, and they said cobia were on each one in force. He said he couldn't remember ever seeing that many cobia, and he called the recent dive conditions along the Jersey coast tropical at this point. Clearer water, cleaner water. I know we had some rain here on Wednesday, but hopefully the clearing conditions help some of you divers, but also help us spot some of those funny fish that are in. Back to the cobia. Fisherman's headquarters in Ship Bottom this week reported this cobia while fishing with Wreck Taco Fishing. They also caught their 3-man limit of fluke and a couple of nice tog over the weekend as well. Heard in our reports this week at thefisherman.com, Justin from Fanatics in Ocean City said those cobia, numerous, anywhere from 5 to 15 miles from Great Egg Inlet. So get yourself on some of that structure just offshore and put yourself into a position for some of these cobia. Cobia love live eels, by the way. So if you can get those live eels, you've got a live well on. If you mark them or you see those torpedoes on the prow along the surface, they love the live eels. Now, a reminder too, that while summer flounder, the fluke bite is waning in the back bays and estuaries, blowfish action while on the hook with copious amounts of chum. That's the way to fish, especially when you have skilled 6-year-old anglers like Katie Tart here on board, which according to Creekside Outfitters in Waretown, quote, the Barnegat Bay reports of blowfish keep getting better and better. Give my man Captain Joe Rizzo of Barnegat Bay Fishing Charters a call if you want to load up on some of those tasty sea squab. You can find Captain's Tackle Shops in the September edition of the Fisherman magazine. This magazine here, it's going to be replaced next week with our October edition. We'll tell you more about that soon. Always interesting, too, when you have that chum pot set up to find out some of the other exotic critters out back. Mark Stapleton was fishing with daughter Riley over the weekend out of Breezy Lee Yacht Basin, and they were out at the Miamal Lighthouse on the Delaware Bay. They both caught one of these, emailed me and said, we think it may be a grunt. Again, I went to Jeff Brust at the Division of Fish and Wildlife, Marine Fisheries Bureau, and he said yes, grunt, or also pigfish. Spot on, Mark. Pigfish grunt. So anyway, I've got a secret to tell you about how we do this video fishing forecast every week. That's about 2 minutes away. But first, we're going to go get a rundown on all the freshwater action in the tri-state region with my friend George Schauer, the Pocono Outdoors guy, who's now in Massachusetts.
Well, hey, Jim. You know, this certainly isn't the Poconos behind me. I'm up in Plymouth, Massachusetts at the moment, taking a whole tour of the East Coast up in New England. I've been up to Maine and working our way back, but I did want to touch base. I had some guys checking in this week telling me what's been going on. Apparently, the smallmouth bite is on fire. Lots of guys out getting them, whether you're in the lakes, Susquehanna River, Lehigh River, Delaware River. Rick Herfer was out with Tim Keeper on the Fin Seeker, and they were just hammering smallmouth all day long. So it's a great time to get out and get on some of them. Don't forget the walleye. They're coming into really good activity. You can start to get them up shallow, especially later in the evenings. So some great walleye fishing. Starting to get some pike as well over in like Wallen Pompack, places in New Jersey as well. So you still got some really good fishing time left for some of these great cool water fish. So I'm going to continue my trek down the East Coast, and I'll see you guys next week. But from Plymouth, Massachusetts, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
Introducing the Yak Attack Sandrig Surf Cart, the ultimate beach hauler for serious anglers. Glide effortlessly over soft sand with wide balloon wheels and lightweight, corrosion-resistant construction that's completely customizable with options. Whether it's rods, coolers, or tackle, haul it all with ease. Built by surf fishermen and engineered by Yak Attack.
Congratulations to Mikey and Amelia Johnson. They're somewhat regulars here in our weekly video fishing forecast. The amazing Johnson duo won the NJBBA 29th annual surf fishing tournament this past weekend using Grumpy's Mullet. This weekend, some other events to tell you about. And related to Grumpy's, I'll start here. Grumpy himself, there's a celebration of his life planned in honor. The late Tom Grumpy Hansen, a beautiful human being. But that's this Saturday, September 21st at the Triborough Hall in Seaside. The event runs from 2 o'clock to 6 p.m. I wish you all the best there. I wish I could be there, but I've got a wedding to attend in upstate New York. Who schedules weddings during the fishing season? I don't know. September 19th to 30th, Big Tuna Challenge. One overnight or 2-day tournament presented by Real Time USA Challenges, hosted by the Brielle Yacht Club. That's coming up. It benefits the Deborah Hospital Foundation. Kicks off on the 19th, so you got your captain's meeting coming up this week. You can call Captain Lenny Strobel, 732-351-6363, or visit rtusachallenges.com. Also, Saturday, September 20th, the 56th Annual Ocean City Fishing Club Surf Fishing Tournament. It's the Association of Surf Angling Clubs. The event is open to teams and individuals in Ocean City. Boy, that's a mouthful. Get details at ASAC Online. That's the Association of Surf Angling Clubs, asaconline.org. This Saturday, September 20th, Barnegat Bay Bait and Tackle is hosting an outside fishing flea market. That's from 9 a.m. till noon in the parking lot of Key Harbor Marina with over a dozen vendors, new and used fishing tackle and equipment. It's a $3 per person entry. That is in Waretown, New Jersey, not far from Creekside. It's at 2 Point Road. If you want some more information, contact Carl Hartman, 201-481-4390. Trigger warning coming up. Folks, you get sensitive. I'm sorry.
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Ready? You want to leave? Okay, we're set. So I'm going to give you what it amounts to a sneak peek behind the curtain here. See, our Thursday video fishing forecast, as many of you have seen, when I'm recording in a tackle shop, the marina, boat show, or down along the beach, it's not actually recorded on Thursday. Sometimes, maybe once or twice a year, but that's not very often. For the most part, we record this video on Wednesday to broadcast on Thursday. Wednesday night, our producer, Tim C. Smith, puts all the elements together for New Jersey and Delaware and Long Island and New England, our offshore report. Then first thing on Thursday morning, especially this time of year, I like to run down to the beach that Thursday morning to post a tease, record a tease. We post that on Facebook and Instagram. Now, once we finish off our video, we load everything, write up everything, get the email together. We blast out the email to subscribers at noon on Thursday, and that's when we open up the doors to the brand new video. So anyway, last Wednesday, September 10th, after I finished recording the video, I drove to Philly with my wife, and we were actually walking through Ashburn Alley at Citizens Bank Park, which is where I recorded the tease this week, by the way. About an hour before the Phillies-Mets game, my wife looked at her phone and she leaned into me and she said, "Charlie Kirk died." Now, this is on the eve of September 11th, 24 years prior, when terrorists killed nearly 3,000 Americans on American soil. And the very next day, September 12th, 2001, our nation began to heal together. We put aside our differences, forgot for a while where we differed in opinion, and instead we came together as a country. Now, Peter here apparently got upset because I didn't mention the assassination of Charlie Kirk last week, perhaps not realizing that, in fact, this video is done on Wednesdays, hence my earlier description. That said, let's talk about this for a moment, because it's painful to me, and I think it's relevant to our ongoing fisheries debates. See, I'm of the opinion that the far left and the far right extremes in this country leave us with very little ability to discuss and debate from the middle out. Now, I'm not going to tell you I agreed with everything that Charlie Kirk said, because I don't, I absolutely don't. But What I believe is he believed in nonviolent discussion and debate, saying, quote, "We heal our divides by talking to people we disagree with." Personally, what pains me a great deal is the vile hatred that some people have for another person's opinion, attacking the messenger rather than discussing and debating the message itself. I just saw where former Tonight Show host Jay Leno said, quote, "This represents the death of free speech." Now, I bring this up. Yes, I'm pained as a messenger, but I'm also pained because I see similarities in the ongoing debate over striped bass. And I know that political assassinations in Minnesota and Utah are far more egregious and much deeper concern to us as Americans. We should admit that we have to do better. But in light of what we've seen happen on American soil, we need productive takeaways from this. From every tragic event that falls us as human beings, as Americans, we have to take something positive from that. So if we can learn anything, it's this. It's that somewhere in the middle between the two extremes lies rational, sensible solutions to our problems that can be achieved through open and respectful dialogue. We heal our divides by talking to people we disagree with. Now, perhaps some of you younger folks don't remember what it was like 24 years ago on 9/11. That was when the following day Americans came together despite our differences. And my hope is what we've been through the last several weeks, perhaps that will allow us to reach that lofty plateau once again. So with that, I say this. I will continue to share information about striped bass, all the relevant data that I can without throwing too much confusion or bias into the mix. But from where I sit as editor of the Fisherman magazine here in the New Jersey, Delaware Bay region, I've got to be dedicated to the anglers of the New Jersey, Delaware Bay region. It's my responsibility to tell you about these meetings, present both sides wherever possible, whether or not these facts might trigger someone's abject hostility from behind the keyboard. So my advice is to ask questions, listen to the answers, form opinions, share your opinions, be respectful of those, appreciate someone else's principles while you stand upon your own. We are all in this together, and those of us that are in the media must function as the pipeline for distributing the debate fodder. But if it's important for you, if striped bass is important to you, then you've got to participate in these meetings, as daunting as it may seem. New Jersey striped bass hearing is done, but Delawareans, your meeting is on Thursday night, September 18th. That's tonight if you're watching this on Thursday, even though this was recorded yesterday, remember? Pennsylvania anglers, your next respectful open dialogue is what's needed next Wednesday, September 24th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. That's when the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, they host their ASMFC striped bass public hearing at Silver Lake Nature Center. That's located at 1306 Bath Road in Bristol, PA. I plan to be there, and I hope to see even a better crowd there than in Manahawkin. The deadline for comments is October 3rd. Democracy, remember, is not a spectator sport. Offshore anglers, don't forget our weekly offshore video fishing forecast for the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic region, that Canyon Runner Intel and the Coastal Rundown. This is a sneak peek in what Adam and Dean and all the crew at Canyon Runner have in terms of their Intel service. So we're giving you some exclusive content. You can find that on our YouTube page and on the homepage every Thursday at thefisherman.com. I mentioned the next edition, the October edition, is going to be coming out on Monday. So next week I'll give you a tour. Maybe I'll go through some of my notes with you from the striper hearings. But again, I'm going to the striper hearing on Wednesday, and I won't have updates, I don't think, for next Thursday. But we'll detail them along the way, because keep in mind, if you want something with striped bass, if you support the 12% reduction, then by all means go to the ASMFC and say that. If you think status quo is the way to go, by all means say that. But your opinion does matter, and you have until October 3rd to weigh in. You can get all the details. They're available front and center at thefisherman.com, and I will have more information coming out next week in the October edition of the Fisherman magazine. God bless, catch them up, and I'll see you again, Lord willing, next week, right here at the